Hi everyone, so just thought I'd do this quick video just about something I've just heard about. Well, I actually first heard about it a few days ago, but I wasn't able to find any videos that could give me any real knowledge on it or any information, but I have just heard a video regarding the subject that has revealed information about 2019's Power Rangers season, which is the 26th series in the show, and it's called Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Now, apparently, it's it will start to say it's the 26th series of the show, and what I've heard about it makes it look like it's going to be really good, but I really don't know what's going to happen until we actually see the series. So basically, what comes out is it's going to be adapted from a Sentai that was actually in between Goseiger and no, it was between it was the Sentai that came before what's it? Gokaiger, yes, which was Super Mega Forces season. But they skipped it because basically they wanted to go straight to they decided to adapt to another Sentai, the following Sentai from Go Busters for Dino Charge. Yeah. But now they've decided to kind of circle again. Saban have basically decided to kind of recircle and go back and now adapt that Sentai series. Right, so this is what I've heard about the storyline, is that it's, once again, it's set in the future. This will be the third time travel season, the season to be set not in the present time but in the future. So far we've had Time Force and SPD, which were both really good series. I think for me those two series, partly for that reason, they're highly scientifically themed series, are certainly two of my favourites, and they're very highly acclaimed fan favourites as well, because they are good series. And it's the main villain is a computer virus, so kind of going back to RPM, as sort of a reference to RPM with the Vengex virus. It's a virus that apparently intends to destroy the morphing grid, which is the source of all the Ranger powers. So it attempts to conquer the morphing grid directly. And there's a group that discovers this new power source known as Morph X, and combines it with animal DNA to create new beast morphers to form the new Ranger team, basically to fight this new evil force. That's kind of what's been revealed so far. Now I'm just going to go on to what I hope to see and what I look forward to compared with the direction the show's gone in the past few years, and reasons why they say for potential changes. Like there's a new logo for the show that's been different to the ones that Saban have been using since the beginning of the whole Neo Saban era, since they got the rights back from Disney. Right, as I say, personally, with the way the whole Neo Saban era has gone, it's still been an enjoyable show to watch for as well as the new kids coming on to the fan base. In some cases, it has still been an enjoyable show for the older audiences as well that have stayed with it since the beginning. But I don't feel that the Saban have really gone, kind of done any of the improvements which really Disney really failed to do. I mean, you'd expect with Disney when they bought the show, it became so kiddified because they weren't happy with some of the violent material that was used. And so from officially, I think, during the production of Wild Force back in 2002 was when the rights were bought by Disney, because they bought a shit ton of material from Saban. So Wild Force is kind of the official last Saban series, The issues were caused. There were issues with that series. I still enjoyed it, but a lot of it was due to the fact that there were production problems caused by the change of studio, slap bang in the middle of production. But then when you got to Ninja Storm, which is the first official Disney series, yeah, you could instantly say the production definitely wasn't as good because they moved the production location to New Zealand from LA, basically to save money, and yeah, you could tell that the changes Disney were making really were making it less appeal to the older audiences, and made it really so its key purpose is just to sell toys to kids. I mean, there were parts of Ninja Storm I enjoyed, but it as I say, it lost kind of its mature touch. And it was so comedic, and yeah, they move on to like fully CGI Zords. I mean, because the budget had been reduced, because potentially Disney had planned to cancel the franchise after Wild Force and just do reruns of all the 10 seasons, but by moving the production to New Zealand, they saved the show from cancellation. Yeah, and they tended to use a lot more of the Sentai footage to save more money as well. I suppose what Saban had been doing during its last few years on the show up till that point. They tried to shoot more original footage to create their own storylines, whilst then trying to mash up Sentai footage with original storylines, which really didn't make a lot of sense at the time. But they were doing that well, as Disney, they so much of the fight scenes and Zord scenes were Sentai footage. I mean, yeah, nearly all the Zord scenes nowadays are Sentai footage. It's only been since kind of like Power Rangers in Space that in Mighty Morphin, at the end of Mighty Morphin Season 2 and into Series 3, they did start to shoot original Zord footage, but it got very expensive, and then from Zeo they went back to using Sentai footage for all the Zord fights, and most of the suit fights as well. So yeah, Dino Thunder, on the other hand, was a bit redeeming for me, yeah, Dino Thunder was a lot better, and it did have a much darker plot than Ninja Storm, which I think kind of, yeah, a lot of adult fans did like it. The biggest reason for that is the return of Tommy Oliver, the legendary Ranger, kind of coming back to the show, starting off as the mentor, then becoming a Ranger again himself. And there were some unique parallels really to the Mighty Morphin series in that show. But then, yeah, so that was good. And also one thing that was good, I think, a rumor that was quickly crushed, was that Ninja Storm was, while technically they say it was kind of a reboot for the show, it turned out that it was still in the same universe, because people did question at first if Ninja Storm took place in an alternate universe, because there was not at all any references to any previous Power Ranger series. There was no team up episode. They say that the reason for that apparently was because they'd have to fly the Wild Force cast over to New Zealand, and it would require a ton of original footage to be shot, which would be too expensive. Yeah, so that was good. During the Legacy of Power episode, yes, it does confirm that Ninja Storm is still in the original universe. But then when we got to SPD was really good, and I think all the fans really did quite enjoy that series. It's still a Disney season. It still had its kiddified, still fairly kiddified, but the series was good. It had it did have a dark storyline. And there were, yeah, the whole plot with the villains, they were good. The lessons, the character development for the Rangers was good, and that kind of made me felt a bit reminiscent of some of the older series, like back in the Mighty Morphin days, where they had good character development for the show, for the characters, and the action sequences were good, and once again, yeah, now that was in once again it was in New Zealand, and they could do a team up with the Ninja Storm cast. it wasn't the best of team-ups, but it was okay. And no, sorry, no, I'm getting confused now. There was also a team-up episode with the Dino Thundercast. There were two separate team-ups, actually. Both with the Dino Thundercast, but they're not like continuation episodes. And then, yeah, and then when I say SPD was great, Mystic Force, I have to say, I enjoyed watching it at the time, and it was kind of good, but once again, it was really kidified. It wasn't the most, action-filled series. Apparently, because I'm aware that the Sentai that was used was Magi Ranger, which was kind of a Harry Potter based Sentai series, and yeah, it was all about magic spells, demon fighting against demons. Even though at some points it was enjoyable, it didn't really win me over as much. Once again there was no team up episode. Yeah, a lot of fans seem to downgrade the series a lot when they don't have team ups. But then, Operation Overdrive, I think, was really the series that really drags for nearly every fan. Operation Overdrive really was not that good at all. The acting was fairly bad. The plot wasn't really good. I'd say the only redeeming thing about that series was the team up, the Once Ranger team up, where they had the team of 5 past Rangers, including Adam, the second Black Ranger from MMPR, potentially leading the team, was the only kind of good thing about it. But yeah, other than that season was just really bad. Even though I had a collection of figures from that series, and yeah, the toys for that show were good. But yeah, that series wasn't good. Jungle Fury. Yeah, Jungle Fury. I did quite enjoy Jungle Fury. Because yeah, it's still kind of your typical kind of Disney type show, but there were good character developments for the characters in that series, and the plot line with the villains, the relationship with the mentors, all the jungle masters in the show was very well handled. There were good character developments, so yeah, little bits of little nods back to the olden days of the show. Yeah, and then once again, yeah, there was no team up for Jungle Fury. Yeah, we started losing the annual team ups at this point. But then the last official Disney series was RPM. But RPM is a very good series because it's an alternate universe. This is the first time we did get an entirely original universe from the previous seasons. But RPM was a great show. Go Onja is also a very good Sentai. And RPM I think is going to be somewhat similar to this new series called Beast Morphers. RPM, the characters in RPM was good. The situation they were in were really dark, with a self-aware computer virus destroying the world, and they have to go to this domed city. And the only place they can be safe is this domed city built, and even though it can still be attacked, it has a fighting force, the Power Rangers, to defend it. Yeah, that series was good. It was fairly dark. It got really dark at that point. It got really dark, particularly towards the end. The whole thing with Dylan, the Black Ranger, trying to find out his sister, and finding out that she's actually Tanaya 7, one of the main female villain. She's been converted into a robot. Yeah, that was good. It also had the good storyline with Scott the Red Ranger having lost his brother in the first battle against the Vengeance virus, and he has to win his father's trust back when he feels responsible for losing him. And the comedy thing about that series was really the two twins, Gem and Gemma, the gold and the Silver Ranger, and like the relationship between Ziggy, the Green Ranger, and Dr. K. The RPM was a great series. And some very decent toys from that series as well. Yeah, that was good. Then when we got back to the Neo Saban era with Samurai, well, first thing that Saban actually did when they reacquired the rights was they remastered. I think it was about the first 20 somewhat episodes of MMPR and added sort of like new art to it, like with comic strips, and they updated the theme song. Really, yeah, that wasn't really that good. That wasn't needed to be done. I would personally have been happy. They don't need to make it. They don't need to make it kind of anime style. I think the reason why they did it was just to show the original series to new fans, potentially for new kids who hadn't seen it. But put a new common twist on it. But really, I don't think that needed to be done. I would have been happy if they just re-aired the original version, as a celebration for them reclaiming the rights. Right. But then officially when we got Samurai, which was the next new series, rumours were it was going to be cancelled again, but Bandai was still going to go along with the toy line for Power Rangers, whether or not there was a series for it or not. But yeah, Samurai really was not that great, and as I say, this is the thing. They still Savannah's still shooting the show in New Zealand, which is understandable to save money, and yeah, but it's still fairly kiddified. It's still just very kiddified, and made up mostly of Sentai footage, made up nearly entirely of Sentai footage, except for the odd fight scene here and there where original footage is required. Yeah, and that's kind of been the problem, and also with this now regular thing they seem to have going on with there being a super season to make each cast last 2 years rather than one, is something kids are not happy about, because neither Samurai or Super Samurai or Megaforce or Super Megaforce or any of the ones that have had these super seasons following them have not really been that good, which is what leads me to say, well, I did kind of enjoy Super Megaforce. Yeah, I was quite excited when I was watching it, even though the series wasn't that good. I enjoyed it for reasons being that there were kind of, there would be nods, it being the 20th anniversary. There were several deliberate nods to Mighty Morphin, particularly being with the first episode, tried to copy all the dialogue, basically just inserted all the reset a lot of the dialogue from the first episode of MMPR, Day of the Dumpster, which was kind of silly, because the similarity is that that team are also teenagers in high school, which makes them sort of a parallel, but to the original MMPR cast. But there's nothing. But then, I mean, they tried to make Noah like the Billy equivalent was. Billy was good. He was a good interpretation of a sort of 90s nerdy guy. But I really, I think they just tried to, make Noah kind of a rip-off of him. Which, yeah, neither Megaforce or Super Megaforce was that good. And the legendary battle at the end of Super Megaforce, what both seasons had been leading up to, it had to be redone with all American footage, because the Gokaiger legendary battle, obviously had all the Sentai teams, and there were about 18 or 19 Sentai series before Power Rangers was even around. So it had to be all reshot. It really made little sense. The coolest thing about it, I think, was you got 10 of the actors from the show from previous, mainly Saban series that had come back. It was great. One thing I did like is I got to see Tommy in his Green Ranger suit again. That for me was what was good. Yeah, and I'd say Dino Charge and Super Dino Charge were definitely better than Super Megaforce, but yeah, it still comes down to these problems of just being so dependent on Sentai footage. It just doesn't really fit. Ninja Steel, I've seen most of Ninja Steel. Super Ninja Steel hasn't aired yet here in the UK. I've seen a few clips, but yeah, I've enjoyed Ninja Steel. It's had a fairly good story arc, and I'm interested to see where it goes in the Super series that's to follow. But yeah, so it still has its kind of it still has these occurring problems that have been going for the past over 10 years with the show, both with the Disney era and the Neo Saban era. In terms of, one thing I know I've not talked about is the 2017 movie. which I personally really enjoyed. It was a good reboot for the franchise. It was, even though it remained loyal, I think, to the original series. I like the updates in it. I like that it dealt with the real life issues that teenagers deal with today. It definitely wasn't a great film, but it was good. I really enjoyed it, and I've watched it several times since I saw it at the cinema, and I do own it as well. I do own a copy of it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and me personally, I hope it does get a sequel. I will personally be very disappointed if it doesn't. I just hope they don't cancel it back off, because it was a good film. It had its problems, yeah, like they didn't morph till like the last half hour of the film. The standard martial arts fight was about 2 minutes long. The sword fight was good, but yeah, so that was what a lot of people had problems with, is you just didn't get to see enough of the Rangers with action, in action. Which, yeah, I always agree, that's the problem I had with the film, but I really enjoyed it. So now that brings us to, yes, this series coming in 2019. It looks like it's going to be very interesting, and I think maybe the whole thing about it being a reboot may be something to do with the Bandai and Savannah parting ways, and that Hasbro, maybe taking over the rights to the toy franchise. Some of the images I've seen show that it may possibly have team-ups with other past Rangers, which should be good. Yeah, which would be great to see. But a more in-depth team-up with past members of the show is what really needs to be done to make it good. I haven't seen any Zord footage yet, but I think it looks like definitely something to look forward to. Both for new fans, which are children, and both for older fans. So yeah, it looks very exciting. But I say I've still got to wait for Super Ninja Steel to wear here. So yeah, I will be watching that and just see how that goes. And then next year I'll have this new series that come out. Right, so I'm gonna leave this video there, and I'll say thanks all for watching. See you soon. Bye.